Hello, welcome to Sound and Fury Book Reviews. As usual, I am Tina. Today I'm doing my July wrap-up and August What's Up video where I talk about the books I read in July and I talk about the books I'm going to read in August. I'm also going to give you a bit of a life update. Basically, it's nothing really. I was on vacation for a week this month, so that kind of cut into my reading time because it's not the same vacationing with kids than vacationing on your own, which is fine. I love them dearly, but I didn't get a lot of time to kind of just sit around and read. It was a lot of kind of finding things for them to do outside and that kind of thing, which was a lot of fun as well. So I didn't read as many books as I thought I was going to read on vacation. I really only read two. So I'm kind of behind. Also, I want to share with you. So I remember I mentioned in I think it was my June wrap up that I lost my cross stitch that I was doing. I think I showed it at the start of the year. I was making a little bookshelf of the books that I've read this year. So that's also why I didn't get a lot of reading done at the cottage because first I was playing Minecraft and also, I was doing this. Look at it. I actually took the opportunity to change the color of the shelf. I made it more brown. I didn't obviously fill in the top yet or the sides, rather than black because it was kind of like a really dark brown and I found it was hard to kind of see all the book colors. And then I decided too that books that were like a mix of things that are like horror, sci-fi, stuff like that actually have mixed covers. So you can see the little kind of ones that are two colors as well. And I added some like a candle and I added a little plant and stuff. And so it's about halfway through the year so far. So I'm going to get another, I guess, 3 or 4 shelves on there before the end of the year. And then I'll show you the whole thing. And I have space on here to do one next year. Really planning my life out in advance here. So there's that. So this month I read 10 books. I'm going to go through and rank them and explain to you kind of what they were. Obviously, you can check out my reviews of them if you want to know more about them. So, the book that I actually did not review because I DNF'd this book. It was The Haunting of Hecate Cavendish. I started reading it. I got about 20% through it and I just wasn't feeling it. I don't know, it was about this woman who gets a job in the Victorian period at a library and she starts to see ghosts in the library. And I was like, this sounds right up my alley, but nothing drew me to it. I don't know if it was just the writing style or the fact that there didn't seem to be any kind of real tension. So I was like, I can't. So I had to give that one up. But do check out reviews of it in case that sounds interesting to you. The concept sounded really cool. The next one was the Null Frequency Impulsor. I reviewed that yesterday. It was fine as my review kind of went through. It was good. It was decent, but it's nothing to really write home about. Next is Unwieldy Creatures. This is a book that I have not reviewed yet because we are going to be talking about it for the Interstellar Book Club video. I can't remember who is hosting. I will post the link below. This book is a queer reimagining of Frankenstein. It has some interesting concepts in it. I will say the first half of the book I was super into. The second half of the book was a real slog. So yeah, if you want to check out my reviews on that, check out the live show. I'm on it. Next is Predator South China Seas, my Moby Dick, which as I explained in my review, I call it that because it took me 10 years to find a copy of this. It's a basic Predator novel. It's written by Jeff Vandermeer, which is the only noteworthy thing about it, other than the fact that it somehow passes the Bechdel test. But basically, there is a big trophy game hunter island in the South China Sea, and it's run by this former military guy. And then, of course, the Predator, comes down and starts attacking the people. There's a huge battle in it. It for what it was fun and entertaining. I can't say it was anything innovative in the terms of Predator stories, but no, I enjoyed it. I mean, I had to given the efforts I put towards getting a hold of it. Next is the book Elsewhere by China Miéville and Kenny Reeves. This book was really interesting, very cryptic, with kind of spots of very intense violence, and I found it really, as I said, interesting. It's hard to explain kind of what it's about. It's basically there's this 80,000-year-old immortal man, and he's working with the Black Ops team to kind of do research into how he can get rid of being immortal, and then another immortal shows up and starts causing havoc. So it's kind of it's not really a battle because a lot of it's kind of set, there's the pieces set in the past. Anyway, it's really good. I really, really liked it. Ninth Life, which I liked a smidge more than Book of Elsewhere. This was part 3 to the Tenlo books. Tenlo is this sci-fi western about this young girl, and she crashes in a spaceship, and this doctor, this medic who finds her and has to decide whether to turn her over or kind of keep her safe. And then this is book 3, and so it deals with it's a typical kind of space opera, though it has a very fun kind of western kind of almost magical element to it that is really engaging, and the writing style is just like bam bam bam, like it's really exciting. Next is Long Live Evil. This one is also tied with Ninth Life because I can't decide which one I like more. Long Live Evil is the complete opposite of Tenlo. It's not serious at all. It is a fantasy pastiche about this woman who is dying in the real world, and she's offered a chance to go into her favorite fictional fantasy world to live out her life there. If she can find this magical flower or something, it'll bring her back to life. I don't remember. But basically, it's just full of like young people being angsty and liking one another and not admitting it, and then a bunch of funny stuff. It was entertaining, and I really enjoyed it. Then there's The West Passage. This book is mind-blowingly good. It's set in a kind of medieval fantasy realm with these eldritch monster ladies who are massive, and you have this priestess and you have this guardian, and they're both going on parallel quests to warn the other parts of this gigantic city-sized castle that this evil beast is coming. Actually, that's what the guardian is doing. The priestess is just trying to find a way to get the weather to change, because apparently the ladies can do that, to stop her people from starving. So it's really, really fun and wild, and you're just like, what's going on? But in like a really good way. Then we have The Mercy of Gods versus Asunder. So The Mercy of Gods is a James S.A. Corey, the author of The Expanse. It is a space opera about a Earth colonized planet that we don't really know that, of typical humans living their typical lives. The ones that we're focused on are scientists working on a project when aliens descend. The aliens kill an eighth of the population, and they take the rest of them, or they take at least, we don't know how many people they take hostage. They take a lot of people hostage, basically put them in like these work camps that are basically like them being at work. They have little apartments, and then they have their labs and stuff. But the whole book is about kind of human adaptability. It's almost kind of like how humans react to any kind of conflict. You know, there's fight, flight, freeze, fawn, I guess is the 4. So, you know, fight, obviously. Flight, obviously try to escape. They can't really do that here. Fawn, which is like, you know, appeal to your captor. And then freeze is you don't do anything. And so the human reactions to all of these things kind of come up in this story, and I thought it was a really fascinating, like, kind of overarching look at how humans react, but also very individual reactions. So I thought it was so good and so immersive. And then Asunder, I just reviewed that on Tuesday. This one is a dark fantasy about a woman who has the power to talk to ghosts, and a man is dying, and she uses magic to bring his life essence into her kind of body, and he lives in her shadow, and she's trying to find a way to get back to his people. But she's under contract with this kind of eldritch monster. There's also eldritch monsters existing in these books that I read that could come and claim her at any time. But there's also these other external problems. It's so good. It's so brooding and dark and atmospheric, and the world building is fascinating. I don't know how I can choose between these two. I really, really have no idea, because both of them I was kind of obsessed with. I can't even think of like things I didn't like about the stories. I guess I could say, like, with Asunder, the one thing was that Karis, the main character, is a bit of a downer at times. Like, she can be a little bit kind of like a wet blanket. So I had trouble. No, I did sympathize with her, though, and that worked for her character. It made perfect sense from her situation. And then Mercy of Gods, it kind of took a while to get going at the start, but then that also really allowed you to learn about the characters before the events took off, because his characterization is a huge part of the story. Oh, I don't know. I don't know what my favorite book would be. You know what? That's it. It's going down to the covers. That's I'm going to have to do it. Mercy of Gods, okay, pretty cool, a little bit vague. Asunder, you know what? We're going to go with Asunder. We're going to have to do it, because I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, yeah, I said that Mercy of Gods would be my, like, most anticipated second book. And Asunder, if there was a second book, I would be absolutely obsessed with reading it. Okay, next month. What am I reading next month? You're like, oh god, we finally got to this. So, as usual, I can't remember what anything is about. So, the first one we have is She Who Knows. Clearly, I know nothing because I don't know what this is about. I can't remember, but it looks cool. The Last Shield, I do know what this one is about because I actually started reading it already. And this is a die-hard gender-bent spin, and it's a fantasy novel featuring this woman who basically does the plot of Die Hard, but in a castle. It's really good so far. I'm really enjoying it. It's really cool. Obviously, you're gonna get a review of that in a week or so. The Jinn waits 1,000 years or whatever it is, 100 years. 100 or 1,000? Maybe it's 100. Anyway, this is a book I'm listening to on Audible. It's really interesting so far. From what I can tell, it is a young girl. She's like 16 or something, and she and her dad moved to this old decrepit kind of house, and she finds this mysterious room. This unlocks kind of the story of what happened in the past a 100 years ago or so. It might have been even like 50 years ago. I'm assuming it's 100 years though, given the name of the title. But anyway, it's very like kind of like historical fiction slash fantasy-ish in the sense. Like it's a ghost story, I guess. I don't really know what it is, but I'm finding it very intriguing and I very much like it. Also, the cover's cool. Netherford Hall. I know this is a lesbian romance sci-fi fantasy, I think. I don't know. It looked intriguing to me and it seemed kind of fun. And I like throwing in my LGBT plus romances once in a while. Goodbye to the Sun. Jonathan Navarre sent me his trilogy here to read, so I'm going to be reading one each month. The first one is Goodbye to the Sun. It is about Razor, a bold and daring pilot, leads a last-ditch gambit against their local oppressors, the Targetians. The plan: abduct visiting ambassador Keen Darrigan and use him as a bargaining chip to restore her people's independence in the Sagittarius, I can't speak, arm. But when the operation unravels, Razor is forced to renegotiate terms with the arrogant diplomat. Battling furious wild tides and pursuit by an infamous bounty hunter, Razor and Keen find mutual assistance in a dubious freelancer with a knack for exposing cracks in people's pride. So this sounds super cool. As you know from, where is it? Stellar Instinct. Jonathan is a great writer, so I'm very excited about this, and I very much appreciate him sending me these copies. So yeah, the next one's going to be, the reviews will be coming soon. And next we have Astra Adari, which is the sequel to Stargun Messenger. I'm assuming it just follows the same characters as new stuff crops up that they have to deal with. I also received an e-arc for the UK release, I'm assuming, of Alien Clay. I was like, why is this on NetGalley? Because it's already out. I'm like, I will request it, and then I got approved. And I was like, okay, good, because I was going to use one of my Audible credits for it, but I'm like, I'll use it for something else. So I'm going to be reading that by Adrian Tchaikovsky, so I'm excited for that. And then I also have, for the Interstellar Book Club this month, we're reading Orbital. I've decided I'm not going to film individual videos for these unless I really want to for some reason, because we have the live show. So maybe if I can't attend the live show, I will do a review, but if not, you guys can check out the live show instead, because the live shows are really fun and we delve really deep into the books and we have funny conversations and intriguing, interesting conversations as well. So yeah, there is my wrap up. It was kind of, as usual, rambling and wild, but I'm quite tired today. I'm quite tired all the time. That's just like my life, you know, as like a small business owner and a mother of two and someone who's almost 40. Yeah, maybe I should stop reading so much? No, that's never going to happen. Okay, thanks.